Hey y'all, we are back and we have another grant. And this grant is a small business startup grant. It is also for sole proprietors, so you don't necessarily have to have your LLC, and it's worth $25,000. Before we get into the video, if you get anything of value, if you can like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that goodness. As always, I started a Patreon, and inside of the Patreon, I list different grants. Specifically, I like the fact that it's categorized. So we have international, small business, for-profits, we have state-specific, and then also there are documents in there as well. So there's a sample business plan, there is a pitch deck, if you're trying to start an Airbnb, and then also drop shipping is currently in there. We'll briefly look at that. In this way, you'll be able to see a little bit what's in there. It's connected to your Discord, so you will have to get that account if you don't have it. And then from there, you'll be able to see exactly where the grant videos are. Not videos, the links, because I literally post links. So obviously on YouTube, I do the walkthroughs, but everywhere else, it's just going to be the links of different grants. So here, so you see here, we have nonprofit, state specific. There's specific to like YouTube. I post the videos in here first, international grants, and then the documents, you're able to download those because some of the grants will require a business plan. We have a general section where I comment, here because this grant video was coming up. There's also some battle that's going on if you're in the fashion industry where you can win up to $2,000 there. And then I've started another station for just accelerators because what I've noticed is there is now a lot of incubators that are being set up for businesses where you don't necessarily get a monetary prize, but I believe that knowledge is more valuable than any dollar amount that can be given to you. So in this, you'll get to participate in maybe it's a 6-week, 10-week, whatever type of program that is there. Now, we did all that, y'all. Let's get into this grant. Now, the grant, it is easy to apply for. There are some restrictions, but I don't think it's a lot of restrictions in comparison to, I think another grant that I had similar restrictions, but they included more than what this grant is including. So the deadline for this grant is June 30th. So you got 12 days to get everything together that they're asking for. Let me pause because I'm going to put the Patreon in the chat. I always forget to do that. And then also I'm going to put my website because I am now offering consultations if individuals are interested in that as well. Okay, now we're ready. Deadline, June 30th. You have to be 21 years or older. You have to be in business for at least 1 year. So they're saying that your business should have been, a year from June 30th. So at least a year. So if it's 6 months, if it's 12, not 12 months, if it's 11 months, you're not eligible for this grant. So you need to be in business for at least a year. You must have a business bank account. So if you don't have one, again, this is a murky one because they are asking for your statement. So if you go and get a business bank account tomorrow, I don't know if you would necessarily have a statement. And if you're not able to provide all of the requested documents, you are not eligible to apply for this grant as well. They are going to announce whether you got the grant or not. So this is one of those grants where you're going to hear something either way. They're going to announce that by the end of July. And then they're going to disperse the funds in August. So, I mean, this is going to be pretty fast paced. And there are 10 grants for $25,000. It's not where, you know, first place get 25 and then they, you know, sprinkle the money out. It is $25,000 for each business that is selected. And then also, this is not for nonprofits. You must be located within the United States. And there's these 4 different criteria, the judging criteria. So 1, you must have a meaningful connection to your community. So that's number 1. Actually, there's only 3. So 1, meaningful connection to your community. So how are you giving back? How are you ingrained in your community? All of those things. Clear and compelling vision for your business. So what is the trajectory of your business? And how do you plan to get there? And then also you have to be aligned with their values. So you got to have grit. I'm assuming when they say love, kindness, family, meaning, and purpose, they're probably thinking that's how you lead, or that's how you show up, or that is what people, the energy that you give off from people, or to people rather. So again, you must be aligned with their values, which is to have grit about you, love, kindness, family, meaning, and purpose. So your business must have a meaningful purpose, and also connecting to your community. And then you must have this clear vision for your business. You cannot have any interest in a liquor company, and you can't work for any business that has a liquor license. So if you are a bartender, a hostess, a bottle girl, or any of those industries, unfortunately, you're not eligible for this grant. And then also, you cannot apply, and this was an odd question in the FAQ. So one of the questions was, what if I work for a small business? Can I apply on their behalf? The answer was no. That business owner would have to apply for this grant, which makes sense, right? If I have a small business, I don't want somebody else applying on my behalf and I'm unaware of it, and then somehow they get $25,000 dumped into their bank account. Now that I've said that piece, let's pause, because I should have said this at the beginning of the video. Someone has created a fake Gmail account in order to take money from unsuspecting potential clients. This email is my entire name. So it's moneytime with Ebony Dion ESQ at gmail.com. They have now been commenting in the, what is that? It's not the chat. They've just been leaving comments on the bits. They've been responding to other people's comments saying, why don't you reach out to her directly with your questions? And here's her contact information. My website is listed in the description. I do not have a Gmail account for my business. And then furthermore, I would never ask you for confidential information or any of that. And actually, let me go, because I did post this on my Facebook, and I want you all to be able to see this. And then I'll get back into the grant, because like I said, I think this is extremely important. So this is going to be on the business page, but it's also inside of the group. Okay, so here are the photos. So this is the email address here, which is not my email address. They're asking for $500, which I don't ask for any money to give out these types of grants. Definitely not $500, and they're guaranteeing that you would get one of these grants. And then here's what they're saying, you know, home purchase, $300,000, startup business, $150,000, $100,000 home repair, etc. And then even if you read this stuff, it's clear that it's somebody from overseas because the grammar is just atrocious. And then they're asking for all this information. Red flag here is they're asking for your account number and your routing number. That is not anything that I would need to assist someone if they're applying for a grant or any of those things, because you're going to input that information. Because even for myself, when I decide to really assist potential clients with grant applications, I'm not going to submit that application. I will assist with drafting the answers, reviewing the answers, editing the answers, but the submission piece will be that potential client, right? And we could do it on Zoom, but I am not going to get any of your personal information in order for you to apply for a grant. And then they're asking you, your home address, I think a phone number, if you had a felony. So all of this. And then of course, there's always this sense of urgency attached to when they're asking you for this $500. So again, I do not have a Gmail account. There's no money time with Ebony Dion ESQ at Gmail that I am monitoring, that I am responding to, nor have I created. I've already reported the account, so hopefully it'll get shut down fairly soon, but somebody will probably create yet another account. So definitely pay attention to the description box. And that's where my contact information is if you are needing any type of services. And also, you pay through a payment processor on my website. There's no Cash App. I understand that individuals utilize Cash App. I do not utilize Cash App for my business. It's not my thing, right? So I don't do Zelle or any of those things. So you will have to pay me via my website. Okay. So now that we did that, let's get back to the grant, because I forget that was very important. So now here is this long list of the restricted businesses for this grant. And some of them, it kind of makes sense. So it shouldn't be too much of a sticker shock. We have adult entertainment. So, strip club, any of those things, no. Tobacco industry, firearms, if you're in the marijuana industry, even if it's legal in your state, massage parlors, saunas, hot tubs, etc. Rental. Now, I don't know, I think many of you might have heard that Atlanta has recently decided to limit the amount of Airbnbs that an individual can own. Essentially, you can own, I'm going to say one, they say two, but the first one has to be your primary residence. And most people that are doing Airbnb, they're not renting out their actual home. They have these commercial leases. So if you are an investor, you're not eligible. Airbnb, short-term rentals, if that is your primary source of income, right? So I would suppose, like, I have a full-time job and maybe I had an Airbnb and I got a couple bucks, but it wasn't my primary source of income. That could be a way to then be eligible for this grant. Banking and financial institution, loan brokers, check cashers, bail bondsmen. We already talked about the nonprofit. No collection agencies, no MLMs either. So the only one I always think about is like that tea company. I can't remember the name of it, but, or even like, I think credit repair companies are doing that too now, where it's kind of an MLM. And I know of one real estate company that is an MLM as well. So multi-level marketing, if you're unfamiliar, so that you're not eligible either. Religious organizations, political organizations, rideshare like Lyft, Uber, etc. And if you transport hazardous materials. Now, this was in another grant. And again, for my people that are in the trucking industry, as long as you are not transporting hazardous materials, you are eligible to apply. Of course, you have to meet those other three requirements, that you're connected to your community, the vision and value, or where you see the trajectory of your business. And then, the grit, love, kindness, all of that. And then finally, any business with an activity that is related to children. So if you are operating any business that is dealing with children, you're not eligible for this specific grant. Now, things that you need to have in order to upload for this grant. You're going to need to have your 2021 business taxes. If you don't have your business taxes, the alternative is to provide your 2020 business taxes with a copy of an extension for your 2021, which then says if you were not in business in 2020, you must have your 2021 taxes in order to apply for this grant. You're going to have to provide them with a W-9. They are going to report this income to the federal government. Now, I know that some of us do not like to claim everything on our taxes, and you can't do this with this grant. You shouldn't do it ever, because I always tell people, the IRS will circle back. It might take them some years because, there's a huge backlog. It could be 5 years. I've seen people where it's 3, 4, 5 years later, and here comes the IRS on something that they filed a while ago. So definitely think about that. And then you want to show that your business has income coming in, because what if you need to get a loan, or you need to get a business line of credit, or you want to apply for other grants? You'll then be able to show that I've received a grant before and I'm able to manage those funds. And this is how I was able to build capacity for my business after I received this initial grant. I don't know if you all can hear this, but I don't know, this car that is extremely loud keeps driving back and forth on the street. So if you can hear that, my apologies. Also, you're going to need the front and back of your ID. And there's one other document. Oh, let me go back to the taxes. If you are filing a Schedule C, you will then have to provide your 1040, so your entire, personal, as well as that Schedule C, and then also your bank statement. They want all pages. So they don't just want, the few pages. And when you think about your taxes, because sometimes the whole package be like maybe 70 plus pages at times. They want everything that is printed out. They want everything from your bank statement. They want the cover sheet that has your address and everything on it. They don't just want the one sheet that has, your transactions for the month. So they want every single piece of that. And I think that is it as far as documentation that you're going to have to provide. These funds are unrestricted, which is the beautiful thing. So you can use these funds for whatever you think is needed to grow your business or to sustain your business. But you have to remember, they're going to do a ton of due diligence, okay? And after they do that due diligence, in their mind, they probably have an idea of where these funds will go. Now, what I just gave you all is everything that's on that front page of this grant. What I have not given you, which I'm going to give you later, is a little of the nuances that's inside of the terms and conditions. And we talk about this all the time. You have to read the terms and conditions, because if you just go off of what I just told you, and then you haven't looked at the terms and conditions, and you don't get the additional information, I can bet there's going to be a couple of people that will be ineligible based off of the fact that, and I'm not even going to say that the information is hidden, because as a business owner, they are expecting that you're conducting your business, the way that, number one, a business owner will conduct it. And a business owner is going to know the ins and outs of every application that they're submitting to make sure that it's a good fit for their company. And then also to make sure that they are aligned and following whatever instructions are put out there. So the information is there. The onus is on the business owner to read it and make sure that they've completed it based off of those requirements. Also, if you have multiple businesses, you can only apply for one business. And they did specifically state, if they find that, let's say you have a small ownership in another business and somebody else is the front person applying, and then you apply for this grant and they put 2 and 2 together and you were going to be potentially selected, you will no longer be selected for that grant, and you will likely be banned from applying to future grants that they might have. So just be honest. It's not worth it, honestly, because a lot of these companies, they have connections to other lenders, and sometimes they might look at your application and say, you're not a good fit for this one, but we have these other opportunities that we think that you should look into. Now, with all of that, we're going to get into the application. Let me see. Oh, Sheed, we here. We ain't seen you in a while, actually. I had no business. I hate jobs. I don't know how to respond to that, David, but thanks for watching. Okay, so I have all of that. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything, and I have not, because, I forgot to add. I told you the deadline was June 30th, which is accurate, but this one is a little different. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Normally, most grants that have a deadline, it's 11:59. So what I recommend, June 29th is when you put that application in, because 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, not 11:59. That is when it is due. So let me share the screen, and then we are going to get into this grant. All right. So this one, which I have seen this company before, I have posted about this company before, and I still do not know how to pronounce their name. So I don't know if it's Hon, whatever, but they tend to put out a lot of grants, I am noticing. So they have now partnered with Tito's. So, if you drink vodka, which is why there was these restrictions on if you worked in that industry, if you have a license in that industry. I don't know if it's because of the potential competitiveness. I have that part, I don't know, but you cannot have any interest ownership in a liquor license. And then you also cannot work for an organization or business that has a liquor license. So we're going to go into the application, but here is everything that we've already discussed. And then you have to earn less than $1 million in revenue in 2021. Again, if my business is, getting up to that $1 million mark, I don't know. I might be looking at some other opportunities. However, this is an opportunity that is there. Like I said, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Down here is all of the restrictions that we discussed. And then also down here is just FAQ. We already talked about when they will put the grant out or fund the grant. So that's going to be in August. So let's go to the application. And then I've already created an account, which is why I'm able to see the grant application, but you will need to create an account in order to go in. So the questions are what we've already discussed. You have to be a business that is currently operating. It has to be based in the US, so it cannot be anywhere else. You must have a business bank account. You must have been in business since June of 2021, because at least a year. 21 years or older. No interest in an alcoholic beverage license. Can't have a Tito's account. And then your annual business revenue in 2021, because that has to be less than $1 million, not less than $1 million, not more than $1 million. So you can have $1 million, but you can't have 1 million in a penny, right? And then you have to confirm that you're not in any of the restricted businesses or industries. And then this is just your general information. So name, address, city, state, etc., phone number, birthday. And now this is your business information. So name, if you have a DBA, your EIN number, industry, mailing address, all of that stuff. Website, social media. I know there's not an asterisk next to it stating that it is necessary, but if you're going to be applying for a lot of these grants, I highly recommend getting your website, getting your social media page, and then when did you start operating business? Hopefully before June of 2021. They didn't discuss how many employees that were needed. And then household income. Now here, always, brief description of your business and who your business serves. 100 words is the limit. This is that elevator pitch, and I am going to keep saying this over and 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 over again. Please draft an elevator pitch so you can start just copying and pasting, or switching a couple of words in order for it to be more aligned with whatever grant that you're applying for. What inspired you to start your business? 250 words. So they're probably looking for more of a passion story, right? Not that I wanted to make some more money, right? It could be. Now, I know a lot of businesses were started as a result of COVID, and they're probably going to get a lot of those. But if that's truly what made you start your business, then that's what made you start your business. You were laid off, you had a family that you needed to take care of, or you might not have been laid off. You might have had a family member that got ill and you needed to quit your job in order to be a full-time caregiver. It could be that you noticed that there was a lack of something in the industry, so therefore you decided to do it. So if I was talking about YouTube, I literally started this channel because I was getting incredibly frustrated with the misinformation that was just being produced online, and individuals were getting taken advantage of. And as an attorney, I can't just go back and forth with people on statuses, because then it gives the appearance that I'm giving legal advice. So therefore, I just watch it and I see the responses, or I see the misinformation and folks are getting excited about it. I'm like, oh my gosh, number one, that's not legal. Or number two, that's just not right. As far as, a lot of people on how do you start businesses? How do you start nonprofits? Even with the grant information, like I just showed you all, that somebody created an entirely fraudulent account. There would be somebody that would sign up and pay that $500, even though there's a ton of red flags there, that this person is overseas, is not a real person, and you shouldn't be submitting the funds. So really think about what is the inspiration. Again, there's a limit, 250 words. So you have to be brief and you have to be concise. And then describe how your business supports or is connected to the community. And this is, remember, one of those requirements of those that they have is that you must be connected to your community. So what does that look like for you to be connected to the community? Then also describe your vision for your business. So when you think about the vision, don't just think about today, right? They want to know that you have that growth mentality. So what is it that you're doing today in preparation for that end goal, right? And your end goal could be to sell your business, right? That could be your end goal, to create such a successful company that you then sell it and work on something else. Or it could be that you're creating generational wealth for your family because you are a first-time small business owner. So therefore, from that, this will be passed down to your children for years to come. So really think about what it is that you want to accomplish. Or it could be, financial literacy for those that otherwise wouldn't have that information. And though whatever community that you want to serve. So really just think about it from the perspective of, if I have to sell this to someone, and when I say sell, I don't mean literally sell, right? I mean, if I have to advocate for my business, what is it that's going to be that attention grabber that then makes the potential grantor want to invest in that business? Because $25,000 is a lot of money to hand out, and they do want to make sure that it's going to be used for a purpose that's aligned with their values, but also it has that longevity as well, right? It's not give them $25,000 and I don't know, they went and bought a business car that's a Mercedes and now they don't have any money left. So really be able to sell your story, and you have to convince yourself too that you believe in what you are communicating. And then their values. So they said pick one or more. How your company values grit, love, kindness, family, meaning, and purpose. I think if you're a business owner and you don't have any type of grit about you, you might not be as successful, because as they always say, like intelligence, or yeah, I'm gonna say this wrong, but your drive can outwork me. I can outwork the smartest person, right? Because if I'm putting in the hours and I'm putting in the work and they're putting in just a little bit, I'm probably gonna pass them up. And then, family, I think a lot of businesses have that family vibe. So if your business is one of those businesses where it's a large business, but you still feel connected on that family level, because even where I currently work, that's how I feel. I know I'm at a job, but I do feel like even though it's a larger corporation, that there is this connection from a family level where we can have, personal conversations with each other that's not just work related. Meaning and purpose. If you started your business and you knew what your purpose was going to be, how have you, since implementation, how has your business continued to align with that meaning and purpose? And I think when they're thinking about purpose, like we can continue to stay on financial literacy. Like that's very important for individuals in communities that don't have access to that. I grew up in that type of community where I didn't know anything about a credit card when I got my first credit card. I didn't understand that, paying the minimum amount meant that I was going to accrue interest. I had never even knew what interest was. So just those types of things where I think that is a purpose that can change the trajectory of a lot of lives, generation to generation, because now that information and knowledge can be shared. And then if selected, how would you use the money to support your vision? So again, you just need to make sure that it is aligned with your vision, but then also aligned with what they are requesting from you as well. And again, we've talked about ways to use the money, capacity building, empowering your business. It can be with capacity, whether it's hiring a marketing person, whether it's, getting more of a social media presence. It could be that you want to start hosting giveaways. And when I say giveaways, it could be for clothing, it could be toys, it could be knowledge sharing, where if it were myself, maybe I want to host a workshop for individuals and talk about, protecting your legal entity. What does that look like, right? You have an LLC, or you have a corporation, or you have a nonprofit. How do I now protect that legal entity? And instead of people not being able to afford to pay me for those services, I want to be able to use this grant to then support me to provide that service for free. So really, but again, that's that giving back and being connected to the community and making sure that I would then be aligned with what they are requesting. And then your demographics. And here we are with the documentation that they're asking for, business taxes, your ID. And I'm gonna tell you, when I got to this section, I don't know why my brain froze when I was trying to figure out what is DL, but driver license. So your driver's license number, and then the state, and then the bank statement, the W-9, bank name. Now they're asking for your routing and account number in order for them to then ACH the funds to you in August. And then here, by submitting it, you're saying that you read all of the terms, and a couple of the items that is not posted that we are going to discuss is you have 48 hours to respond to their email. So that's why I say it is very important, number one, that you check your account religiously, you check your spam, you put them on your preferred list, because they will send you a confirmation email saying that they received your application. So then I would add whatever that @ is at the end of the email address to your list so it doesn't go to spam. Also, there might be a background check. So this is a large one that is nowhere on that front page. And it says that it is up to them. For $25,000, I think they might do the background check. So if you think that you have something that might be questionable in your background that you don't want them looking at, then don't apply for this grant. However, if you have something questionable in your background that you can explain, apply for this grant. Because I'll tell you all a little secret. I had rented an apartment years ago. I paid 6 months of rent in advance because I had just got out of law school and I hadn't started my job. So I didn't have work income. So somebody was like, well, we can't let you in the apartment and you ain't got no income coming in. But I was waiting on my bar results. So I paid 6 months in advance. 2 months in, the lady wanted me to move. And I was like, what? And she wanted me to move for non-payment of rent. I was confused because I had a canceled check of 6 months that she cashed and that she clearly had used. She went to court to file for an eviction. She then withdrew her eviction, or she didn't show up. I don't know what happened. But then when I got ready to go and get me another apartment, of course, that kept showing up that I had this eviction. And each time I would have to present, here's the lease, here's the 6-month check, here's the date that she filed for this eviction that shows that I still have 4 months to be there. Here's, evidence that she then didn't show up to court or removed it, whatever. I don't know if the lady has some type of mental thing going on. However, I had never in my life, and even to this day, like I've never had, evictions or any of those types of things on my credit. But that is something that I then had to carry around until I purchased my home. If I ever decided to rent, I would just, here's the information. So do not cancel yourself out if you know that you have a legitimate reason why that information is on your report. One other thing on the terms and conditions that I just want to show you, as far as like permission for them to use your name, likeness, etc. Okay, right of publicity. So this is important, and you do with this information what you choose, what you think is best for you and your business. So submission of an application will constitute permission for them to essentially use your name, business, photos, etc., even if it's trademarked, throughout the world in perpetuity, which means forever. Okay, without any type of compensation. I don't know what is happening. Compensation, notification, permission, or approval. So what this means is essentially whatever you submit to them is now their property. So let's say, but here's the thing, I can't see them using your information unless you got a grant. I can see them using your information years down the line if you become a billionaire, a super, successful company, and they can say that they contributed to that success. And I really wouldn't care, because as long as my name is out there, somebody's going to start searching for my business and want to know a little bit more about me. So I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but I also think you have to, make that decision yourself if you feel like that is a good move for you. That's the grant, y'all. So if you got anything of value, as you know from the video, like, share, comment, subscribe. I would prefer if you share, because that helps with this algorithm with YouTube that I'm still trying to learn, but I think I'm, getting the hang of it. I'll double check for questions. I don't see any. I want to thank you all for taking the time this Saturday to spend a little time with me. I am going to I got 2 more grants that I definitely need to put out because I don't want to miss any deadlines. And you all enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you all next time.